Do you think that there's a certain kind of like if you were gonna, like the rules were gone, and you didn't have to necessarily worry about performance enhancing? Are there certain drugs or there certain performance enhancing protocols that lend themselves to certain sports? Like you talked about rugby, testosterone, GH, and painkillers.
Hmm.
Whereas that protocol might not be best for swimming. Whereas
Hmm.
cycling, obviously the testosterone, the GH, and maybe like EPO. But
EPO is going to be huge. The sprint sports EPO is not going to be very helpful because they're not really aerobic necessarily. But what they do is they allow you to recover quicker between your bouts. So if you have 12 events you're going to swim at the Olympics, they're all sprint events, EPO would be very helpful for that. But even within swimming, so EPO is the big. That's huge. If you can increase your hematocrit and your oxygen carrying capacity to your muscles, you're going to stave off your anaerobic threshold quite a bit longer than you would otherwise. So that's just massive. So a 10% increase is something that hadn't been seen before. So that's therein lies where Lance Armstrong called the stuff that they were doing before, which would have been testosterone, cortisol, amphetamines, those kinds of things. Those were low octane doping. They'll help you in the margins, but again, like you're saying, if you're not adequately trained, they're not going to do much to bring you up. But EPO, that was just a whole other place. So before they had a test for EPO, what they would do for cycling, UCI made it so that if you had a hematocrit above 50, that was your threshold. Then this is what they deem not safe. And so for safety reasons, we're going to pull you out of the race. We're not accusing you of anything, but there's something going on with your body and your blood is too thick, so we need to pull you out. Prior to that rule, which I think was in 2000, athletes, actually it was earlier than that, it was in the late 90s, but athletes could just dope away. And so they would get their hematocrit up into the 60s. Now, if you don't know what the hematocrit level should be, we're talking 30 to 40, maybe a little bit higher than that for some athletes, but by and large, it's in that range. So to have a hematocrit, which is the percentage of your blood that's all red blood cells, above 60 is huge. And you'd see these athletes just dominating in ways that really were never seen before. And so if there's one drug for specifically endurance athletes, it's going to be EPO or something else that will actually increase your hematocrit to that level.